This week, how many of you know we're leading up into the week of Easter, okay? Next weekend, next Sunday is Easter Sunday. And this, of course, is the week leading up to the Lord's crucifixion, burial, and glorious resurrection. But how did he start? How did he start that week? He started that week in a garden. And he started that week in a garden in a place of prayer, looking for people who would partner with him in prayer. In fact, what he kept asking his disciples, he brought them and he said this, he said, watch and pray, which is a good verse to never close your eyes when you do it. It's never in the Bible that you're supposed to bow your head and close your eyes. That's a denominational thing. In fact, you'll see a lot more if you keep your eyes open when you pray. That's an aside. But he said, watch and pray lest you fall into temptation. This is what he said. He said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And see, this morning we're going to talk about the fullness of the Spirit and what I believe God is getting ready to do in this place and through this place. But I believe that God is looking even in this week for people who will come together and partner with him. And so this week we're having a call to prayer. And this is what he asked. Did you feel what just came in when I said call to prayer? How many of you felt something come on you? Okay, that's being mantled for prayer. It's awesome. This is what he said. He would go to them, and their eyes were heavy. They were sleeping. He kept having to rouse them up. He says, could you not tarry with me 1 hour? Could you not tarry with me 1 hour? And so this week, and again, you can look at this in Matthew 26, verses 36 through 46. We won't go through that right now for the sake of time, but I'd encourage you to read it as an invitation of the Lord. Because I believe he's looking at this house saying, will you tarry with me? Will you pray with me? We sensed something very significant shift on Thursday afternoon during our worship with the Word time of prayer. And it went from a place of prayer into you could feel the hand of the Lord come down and a scepter being extended where you could begin to declare and begin to ask things of God and have authority to see them come to pass. And when those types of moments come upon us, we recognize that it's a time to birth. We're going to talk about a time to birth and partnering and what that looks like. But I felt like that this week we needed to open up the church throughout this week. We're probably like 8 to 4 every day except for Friday. Friday we're going to call early morning prayer. Okay? It's not early morning for a lot of us, but early morning for some. 6 o'clock. Okay? Church will be open all the way, all the day. But there's something I believe even on Good Friday of coming together and pray. And we're going to be targeting some specific things for our city. We're going to be targeting some specific things for our church. We're going to be praying according to promise and blessing according to what's been prayed into in times past. And here's what we're going to ask. We're going to ask everybody to give an hour this week in prayer. How many of you could do that? I really believe that if we'll do this, it will set something in motion, not just for our church and for our families and businesses and everything represented, but I believe it could be a catalyst for our city. I believe it could begin to release a true spirit of resurrection on Easter Sunday. And here's one of the things that I really feel is in our heart to cry out for, is the lost and those that no one wants. To really begin to cry out for the untouchables and the unlovables. And to be willing to touch them and to love them with his hand and his heart. Amen? So we're going to be doing that this week, and we'll be talking about that more, of course, in the message. And one of the things the Lord had spoke to us during our time of prayer on Thursday was that he is remembering his dismembered body. He is remembering his dismembered body. He's beginning to pull together members of his body from different places and putting his body back together, but he's also remembering the promises to that body. And so this is the week, Isaiah 43:26 says, put me in remembrance, let us contend together, state your case that you may be acquitted. And Michael may have more of an authority to speak of what an acquittal looks like. But how many of you have some things in your life you'd love to state a case and get an acquittal? You'd like to see some dockets cleared. I honestly believe, I'm not hyping you. I believe this in the fear of God that this is the week to see these things happen. Okay? So this week, again, 8 to 4 every day. We'll be having, people will be able to stay later, but Friday, 6 to 8 specifically, but the church will be open throughout the day as well. So.